Our next speaker we have is Dr. Abby Hamilton. And she is an industrial organizational psychologist and speaker on assertiveness and culture. She is also the director of student services at Everglades University in Tampa. She has educated and trained in leadership for over 20 years and spent the past 11 years equipping students with proper skills to present themselves in their job search and the workplace. She is also the principal scientist of EQ Match and psychological assessment company. Dr. Abby and her husband, Mark, have raised 3 children, Taylor, Christopher, and Ryan, in the Tampa Bay area, where they are leaders in the Filipino community. Dr. Abby, excuse me, is the senior vice chair of the Filipino Cultural Foundation. Dr. Abby, you have the floor. Thank you.
Doctor, unmute your mic.
That would be good,
Yeah,
right? That might be helpful.
You're there. Thank you.
Okay, that was the comic relief for the day. Hello, everyone. All right. So, like Yvette said, I am an industrial organizational psychologist, and some of you are like, what is that anyway? Actually, it's looking at the psychology that's related to work and organizations and companies. It's related to understanding the people in your company, all the personalities, the way that they communicate. Do they have leadership? And so I know you all are learning so much of that right now in this conference. And I'm just so excited to be here. Today, we're going to be talking about breaking the bamboo ceiling. If I'm not mistaken, you all are here because you want to be successful, right? I'm pretty sure. But I'm afraid to tell you that that's not going to happen until you get to a certain point where you can actually say with full and complete confidence the following: I am smart. Not just smart, but very smart. Not just very smart, but smarter than a lot of people who are out there. You should be able to say, hey, listen, I have information that I can share with you, information that's different than other people or in a way that's different from other people. You should also be able to say, I am extraordinary. I'm pretty extraordinary. Actually, I'm not just pretty extraordinary. I'm extremely extraordinary. Can you say that about yourself? Can you say, I'm the best? I'm the best person to present this product to you. I have the best product to share with you. I have the best information to give you. I am the best person to set you up with this service. You're lucky you found me. Are you able to have these exact words come out of your mouth? Because if you're not, there may be a chance that there are some things underlying that are happening that we really need to look at. You need to be able to say these things, because if you don't believe these things about yourself, why would anybody else? Why would anybody make you the person that they choose to provide a service? You need to feel and say like you're the best, so will the people you're trying to reach. So I'm going to talk to you about what might be happening underneath that might be keeping you from that. So I grew up as a second generation Filipino American, and I was raised to be humble and obedient and respectful and low profile. And then as an adult, I noticed that I had trouble speaking up for myself. And I had trouble openly saying, I am extraordinary. Well, how's anybody else going to think that? So what I did for my PhD is I conducted research on 473 Filipino Americans to see is it my Filipino upbringing that's holding me back? Is it related to my assertiveness? So I looked specifically at the relationship between assertiveness and my Filipino interpersonal norms. And I found that, oh my goodness, those people who were really high in their Filipino interpersonal norms, they were low in their assertiveness. I mean, this is 473 Filipino Americans, and the statistics showed it. This is really happening. And there were also some in that group who were high in their assertiveness, but then when we looked at their Filipino interpersonal norms score, they were low in those. So if you happen to be one of those Filipinos who's very assertive, you're probably low on those Filipino interpersonal norms. Jane Hyun wrote a book called Breaking the Bamboo Ceiling, and I just love this book. My whole message in everything that I do now is based on this. And she identified that there's something about us that's causing us not to get to those higher levels. Have you ever heard of the bamboo ceiling? This is the glass ceiling for Asian Americans. It's the invisible barrier that we reach when we're trying to get promoted in our companies, but we can't. And many people believe this is caused by, oh, those company leaders, they're just not promoting us because they're discriminating against us. But there's reason to believe that it's also caused to the fact that we are holding on so closely to a culture that conflicts with the behaviors that these leaders are looking for, those leadership behaviors like assertiveness. When we were taught from a really young age to obey what others tell us, to conform with the way things are, and to avoid confrontation, how do we become the leaders who speak up and push the envelope and oppose other people's opinions and ideas when we know that something should be done differently? How do we survive in a society where the squeaky wheel gets the oil? When in the Asian culture, it's the nail that sticks out that gets the hammer. Whew. First of all, I just want to invite you to notice these things. Notice them in your life and determine if they're holding you back. And just a little note, maybe you aren't Asian, maybe you just came from a small town or you had a tough childhood or conservative parents. You could also be dealing with these different things. You could also be someone who is noticing your colleagues who need assertiveness. So we're going to talk about some different things today. At a meeting, are you the kind of person who you hold back when you want to say something because you're afraid of what people will think? Oh, they're going to think this is dumb. Oh, they're going to think, who is she? She doesn't know anything. Who is she to say something? When you know a more efficient way of doing something, do you just say, he should have done it this way, but I'm not going to say anything? Yeah, are you really being valuable then? Are you keeping focused on the goal, making your company or your group more effective, more successful? What about if someone puts your idea down? Do you stand up for your idea? This is really hard for some of us because we don't want to cause friction. You know, we're very harmony seeking. We don't want to question an authority figure. It's just the way that we are. It's hard. But you want to know who the boss notices? The boss notices that employee who says, Mr. Boss, I was wondering if I could run an idea about you, run an idea by you about maybe a different way that we can handle this. Wow, your boss hired you because you're smart, because you have a brain. Your boss is excited to say, hey, Julie down that second hall or on the second floor, she's really got a good head on her shoulders. You're not just a puppet. You're someone who brings value to your company. Jane Hyun says that whenever the big boss comes into town, sometimes this happens, they come in from the corporate office, they're visiting, and they come down the hallways and they go, hey, how's everything doing down here? Good, good. Thank you for all your hard work. Yeah, just down from the corporate office for the day. When they're saying, how's everything going? You're not supposed to just say, oh, good. Yeah, you should have something prepared to show your value in a few seconds. You could say, as a matter of fact, thanks for asking. We just landed a big client with this new strategy that I would love to share with you. Do you have time to chat next Monday? Well, he's trying to look good, right? When he's coming down that hall. So he'd be like, absolutely, give my secretary a call. So then your boss is going to go back, or the big boss or the regional guy, corporate guy, he's going to go back to the main office and he's going to say, there's some great talent in that sales department back at that office that I just visited. And that's going to be you. This is just one of the ways that you can be assertive in the workplace. Also, there are other ways. Oh, I love this one. They say you should speak 3 times in a meeting. You can agree with someone, you can ask a question, or you can compliment someone else's idea. Don't worry if you feel showy. You're absolutely not being showy. You are using your brain. I don't know about you, but I love when people tell me in a Zoom chat that I had a good idea, or when they completely agree with what I said. Hint, hint, you could totally do that right now. I would love to hear your comments. But you know what's happening? Not only do you make a good impression because you're taking the initiative, you're showing that you're participating and that you're excited, but it makes me feel good about you enough that I will do something for you in the future. Good relationships, right? Not just being showy. Here's another way to assert yourself. I know this professional. He's not a company leader who he asked his boss if he could go to the Synapse Florida conference. This is a tech conference in town. And no one else from their company went. Huge financial company. No one else went. And he met some different contacts. And last week, he connected this huge company that he works for with some tech companies. And they may actually be doing something big. And so I don't want to say that he was a nobody in his company, but he was definitely not anywhere close to management level. See how he just used his intelligence and didn't just sit back and say, my company needs to use more of these tech solutions. There's so much opportunity. Use your brain, use your enthusiasm, think out of the box. That's what you're here to do. There's another great example. Oh my goodness. There was this HR director who worked for a large metropolitan hospital. And I know during COVID, you don't want to hear this, but they had a 65% turnover in critical care nurses. That is huge. That's why we're all scared to go to the hospital, right? And you know what she did? She thought outside of the norm and she implemented an emotional intelligence assessment. Who does that when you have nurses walking out the door, right? And you know what she did? She brought that turnover down to 15%, from 65% to 15%. Why? Because she thought it in her head. She felt confident enough about the value, the research, and she pushed through, and look, she shocked everyone. Speak with authority. When you know that your idea is based on valid points, you explain them. Don't allow your fear of what others think to stop you. Speak with authority. Think about it this way. If someone at your company needed CPR and you knew CPR, would you say, well, people may think I'm just too bossy if I push them out of the way to help that person? Or how about this one? Well, maybe someone else might want to do it. I'm sure I'm not the only one who knows CPR. I just don't want to be too showy like I know it all. No, you would push through, wouldn't you? And you would get there and you would save that person. Know your value, know your knowledge, know your strengths. There was a story, oh my goodness, of aircraft mechanics who saw that there was something not that major that was wrong with an airplane before takeoff. And the mechanics didn't want to make a big deal of it because the flight would be canceled. People would be mad. The company would lose a lot of money. Oh my goodness. This is not time to be keeping the harmony and avoiding confrontation. It's not. I don't want to be on that airplane if you're just trying to be like, oh, we don't want to rattle things. No, open your mouth. It's time to speak up. Fortunately, nothing happened bad on that flight, by the way, if you were wondering. So speak up because you were hired to be someone smart in this company. You are sharing your ideas because you're trying to help. And lastly, this is a tough one. If someone has overstepped or insulted you or embarrassed you, this could be not even in your company. It could be in your personal life. It could be in organizations where you volunteer. It could be with your family, okay? You have two choices. If someone insults you, you have two choices. Not say anything, and then you can escape that confrontation and that sticky conversation because, oh, you just don't like confrontation. You just want it to be quiet in the house, no yelling, okay? You could just not say anything. You just want to tell, I just want to tell you this, okay? Doing that is going to result in resentment. And it's going to be the beginnings of you wanting to leave the workplace, you wanting to leave the marriage, you resenting your family, your friends. And then the other option is you actually assert yourself. And yeah, it may be a little bit shaky. It may be a little rattly. Yes, but do it in a way that's firm, yet still calm and respectful. That's what assertiveness is. Firm and calm and respectful communication. And it sounds like this. When you made fun of my voice yesterday at the meeting, I was insulted and I was hurt. And I was also surprised by the unprofessionalism that I saw. I didn't think of you as the kind of person who would make jokes like that. Like, let them see what they've done rather than attacking them back. Let them see that they put you in this position. I once worked for a company where the boss brought me in to reprimand me for doing something out of my scope. And it was not my department. And what I did was I thanked her for telling me that it was unacceptable. But I also told her, I've worked here for many years, and you know that I'm a person who will help until the problem is solved, no matter what I have to do. And that is what I did. In the future, I won't do this one particular thing because you've asked me not to, but I also won't apologize for helping to the highest extent. That's the kind of person I am. That's what you hired me for. So I said, thank you for telling me. When I was reprimanded, I needed to remind myself, hey, listen, I am not the bad person that I feel like because you just reprimanded me. I am a good person who tries to do the right thing, and I had to translate that into my response. So, and when you work through these issues with real assertiveness, you feel maybe a little uneasy for a bit, but then you'll feel like, hey, this is a workplace where I can express myself and I can make clear what is acceptable or not. You try these different ways to start being assertive, and you will slowly feel like you are all of a sudden just really free and really strong in the workplace and in your relationship. And you will begin to feel very valuable and very important in this world. And before we leave here today, I want you to say out loud to yourself, I am smart. I am extraordinary. I am the best. I hope you said that along with me right now. And if not, just write these down and say them to yourself. Now go out there and you tell the world this, okay? Especially by the way that you act. Thank you so much for inviting me here today, and I wish all of you a happy Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Here is my TEDx link if you guys want to watch my TEDx talk, and my email address so you could contact me. Thank you again. Oop, Yvette, you got to.
Yeah, I did.
You were just trying to pull a Dr. Abby, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Because you know what, Dr. Abby, I just want to say that was an excellent presentation, but I really, it brought a lot of back to me where we may be different cultures, but the same personalities and the same traits exist. So it's not just the Filipino culture. So I do see a lot of that in the African American community because, you know, we were taught not to raise our voice as well and not to speak out of term and just be obedient. So, but thank you for those words of confidence that we are ready to instill in ourselves and empower us to hold our heads up and speak high. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am.